Hi, I'd like to share my story of rheumatoid arthritis. It's been a story that started when I was 36 in 1986. I had no idea how this afternoon that I went off to go and mow at St Lucia was going to actually alter my life completely and turn it from a fairly average sort of a life to something quite extraordinary. I'd been mowing and cleaning all day, and this was late in the afternoon, and I'd just finished mowing a yard at St Lucia, and I'd gone over to talk to the lady of the house, and she was standing inside the house and I was standing outside of the house, and I was absolutely covered black with mosquitoes, absolutely everywhere covered with mosquitoes. And I was really dirty, so I couldn't actually go inside. So I stood outside the door, and the lady said, a lot of people get sore joints. They call it Ross River fever. They get it from mosquitoes. Now, I'd always been built like a footballer, strong, and I could do anything. I was bulletproof, and I didn't really think about these few mosquitoes at all. I just didn't think about it. But 6 weeks later, I woke up in the morning completely crippled, unable to move. My skin was on fire. My joints were so swollen and sore, and I couldn't touch or hold anything. It was the most unbelievable shock. I had no idea what had happened. I had no warning about it at all. I had absolutely no idea what was happening. I had a neighbour, and he helped me at least get dressed, and I tried to put my socks on. I could hardly even do that. I couldn't spray a squeeze bottle, and in the end I couldn't drive the car that I had. It was a manual car. I couldn't press the clutch. I just couldn't change the gears. It was just hopeless. I had done a little bit of natural therapy, been to a few natural therapists, and I'd actually lived with a natural therapist for a year, so I was connected within a group of people involved in natural therapy. So I went straight there, and we did muscle testing, and we did a variety of things, and we worked out that the only foods I could eat were golden delicious apples that didn't blow my body apart. So I was busy eating golden delicious apples, finding them everywhere I could. And for 6 weeks I tried that, but still my skin was on fire and I was crippled, like a 100 years old person. So it was pretty devastating and fairly scary. I went and had a blood test, and initially the blood test indicated acute rheumatoid arthritis. So through the doctor that I'd gone to initially, I was sent to a rheumatologist who gave me a very bleak outlook. And he basically told me that 1 in 10 people end up in a wheelchair with rheumatoid arthritis, that there was no cure, they had no idea how it came, and basically I'd need to have rest in the afternoon, and I would go on a sickness benefit. So he told me to come back in 6 weeks' time, and I said, well, what for? If you don't know what's wrong, you can't fix it, you don't know how it's happened, why on earth would I want to come back? I said, at Christmas time, if I'm as sick as this, you're 6 levels up, I'll just come here and jump out your window. He was fairly alarmed by that, but I didn't actually ever go back to him. But 6 weeks later, I got another blood test done, and I was tested for Ross River fever this time, and that was also positive. So I rang him up, and I said, look, I've just had a test for Ross River fever, and I'm positive Ross River fever. I said, do you think they're connected? And he said, no, it's just unfortunate that you have them both at the same time. So I never went back to him. I did go to a variety of others. I went to 6 rheumatologists, and none of them could give me any joy at all. And so I actually didn't go back to another rheumatologist for another very long time. And it's only just been in very recent years that I've even gone to any rheumatologist again since then. So my journey went from there, and I needed to get some answers and some assistance, because he emptied my bag of hope. Everybody needs to have hope. Without hope, you've got nothing. There is no such thing as false hope. So I went to many, many, many natural therapists, and every one of them was wanting to help, was enthusiastic in their own modality. They'd done their research within their own modality, and I became a patient of, I don't know how many natural therapists. I've invested in my health the equivalent of probably 2 houses in the last 25 years, and what I've come to understand is that rheumatoid arthritis for me has been the greatest gift that I could ever have drawn to myself. When you initially get presented with a challenge that's really major, you're right up very, very close to the story. You're so close that you can't see anything good about the story at all. All you can see that it's a pile of stuff and it's a great big disaster. But give yourself a little bit of time, do some bit of searching of your heart, and start to understand how divinely perfect the gift that you've drawn to yourself truly, really is. And when you look at it, then you can start to identify the key. The key that all you need to do is turn, and it'll turn your attitude, give you a shift of perception that helps you to understand how just valuable that lesson truly, really is. Rheumatoid arthritis has been so valuable for me in so many ways. I've been able to push through limits. I never have had rest in the afternoon. Probably in the last, it's almost 30 years now that I've had rheumatoid arthritis. I've had probably 3 rests in the afternoon over 30 years. I haven't stopped working. I stopped work for just 1 week after I was basically diagnosed with rheumatoid and Ross River. I was very sick. Probably most people would have gone to hospital. I took 1 week off. I thought I was going to heal myself in 1 week. It's been quite a frustration for me not to be able to really heal myself, but I dare say if you consider the fact that I had to support myself through this whole time, and I had to continue working, and it was working in the cleaning industry, and you can do many, many hours in a cleaning industry. You can work all day, and you can work all night, and you can work 7 days a week, and you can work Good Friday, you can work Christmas Day, and I've done that over the years to support myself. Because apart from health, my highest value is my work. So I value that very highly, and I spend all my effort to the sacrifice of lots of other things when I'm doing work. So some of the things, I have written down 500 reasons for how rheumatoid arthritis is truly, truly my most divine gift. I wrote some of these things down previously as I was right in the middle of the pain and the position where I really didn't know what was going to happen in the end. I'm very grateful for some people who've assisted me to take the step out of my comfort zone and get knee replacements. And 4 years and 3.5 years ago, I went and asked for help from the Western medicine people and said, I really can't do this anymore, please help me. And they were able to offer me 2 knee replacements, and I got them done on public health. I was so critical at the time that I was put right at the very top of the waiting list, and I only had to wait for 10 weeks During those 10 weeks, I was in absolute agony. I cried nearly the whole time. In the end, I recognised that Western medicine is really, really capable in a critical care situation. So I had to recognise that the Western medicine could actually put anaesthetic in me, make it so that I didn't feel or remember anything, that they could slice open my leg 2 feet long, that they could go with a chainsaw and basically chainsaw out my knee, throw it away, and then replace it by banging and hammering and gluing into the leftover bones in my legs, and put in a new joint, and then stitch it all up again and make it so that I could actually use it. And they were able to do that, and I thank them and everyone that was involved in that whole process of helping me get to that right headspace to be able to even allow it to happen. But what I did have to understand was that Western medicine has absolutely no idea of what to do with in a chronic situation. Critical care, they're amazing. Very fortunately, through one of my natural therapists, I was introduced to a wonderful rheumatologist only 3 years ago, and he is in the cutting edge of research for immune diseases, which rheumatoid arthritis really is. And he was able to get me onto a biological drug which has been developed through stem cell research, and once a month I have an infusion which now has basically stopped the rheumatoid activity completely. So my dream that I never let go of not dying crippled is coming true. So I held on to that visualization of not dying crippled as it looked like I was going to. I held on to that through the whole process of watching my body be destroyed one by one, my joints being destroyed through that whole very difficult 25 years of my life. So that now the rheumatoid activity is stopped. The whole rheumatoid thing has been an amazing vehicle for learning, and I've learnt so much about my body, and then in turn I've been able to help other people understand their bodies as well. A disease is a lack of ease within your body, and it can come initially from an emotional blockage. And I was very, very aware that I had, towards the latter part of the rheumatoid procedure before my knee replacements, I had a blockage at my knees that I couldn't clear. And I could do a meditation and I got to as far as my knees. And I'd either lose concentration or fall asleep or get diverted in some way or another. And I couldn't even visualize, no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't visualize the white light moving through my knees. What was absolutely extraordinary for me was that as soon as I got the knee replacement done, the first knee replacement, I was able just to push the white light right out through my toes. It was absolutely amazing. I had no idea that the stagnant energy that had been blocking the energy flow from the top of my body through my knees would be just released like that by taking away that damaged knee joint. I thought that the energy would still stay there, and it certainly didn't. It completely released right the way through. Through a lot of research and bitter searching of my heart, I recognised that rheumatoid arthritis was connected to a guilt feeling. It was also deep resentment and also anger, and also a lack of nurturing of myself, and a lack of really truly loving myself and recognising my little child in my heart and nurturing my little child. I've done many courses trying to understand how my body could possibly end up with rheumatoid arthritis, which is an immune system disease. It's the immune system attacking the joints. And that was actually quite an interesting situation too, because right at the very beginning, when I spoke to that initial rheumatologist, and he said there was no way that Ross River fever was connected to rheumatoid arthritis, I knew, absolutely knew on every level that he was absolutely wrong. And 18 years later, when I spoke to a doctor at one point, and I said to him that I had Ross River fever, that I had rheumatoid arthritis. He actually asked me, "Have you ever had Ross River fever?" And I was so excited. I said, "That's the first time that a doctor has ever asked me that." And he said, "Yes, it's obvious." He said the American Army did a lot of research on rheumatoid arthritis because a lot of soldiers had been pensioned off in the army who'd been stationed in Townsville, where the Ross River is, and where many people were being damaged by Ross River fever, and which had led actually to rheumatoid arthritis. So they spent a lot of money doing research, and they realised that the protein in the Ross River virus is very similar to the protein in your joints, and so that when your immune system is activated to fight against Ross River fever, it can then go haywire if you're a little bit susceptible to an overactive immune system. It can go haywire and see that there's a smorgasbord happening and damages the joints so that they become stiff and swollen and basically destroyed, immovable. So I knew that I was right when I initially told that rheumatologist that there was no way that Ross River and rheumatoid were not connected for me. So rheumatoid arthritis for me has been just the most amazing journey. I could have chosen to go the Western medicine way, and I have a friend in the building industry whose wife did that, and she's very sadly not here anymore, and her kidneys and her liver collapsed, and it was through the constant use of the drugs that they prescribe and still do prescribe for rheumatoid arthritis. And it was quite an emotional day when I met that builder again just recently, and he threw his arms around me and congratulated me and said that he recognised what an amazing choice I had made and how difficult it was for many years for me to continue working with the growing disability that rheumatoid actually does for you. But I am so grateful, and I can't tell you the gratitude that I have for the experience that I've had with rheumatoid. I'm very grateful for the way that I approached the situation. I feel very strengthened by that, and I'm very inspired to share my story as often as I can. And I really hope that within this book, The Wisdom Over the Urinal, that you can gain a little bit of inspiration, and then hopefully you'll be able to turn my experience and so that you can look at your own life and recognise what your divine gift is, and understand something that appears to be very confused and very negative, how you can see that can actually become your main key for your life, that gives you the opportunity to allow your hero to come out, because each of us have a hero, and it's just waiting there to have the key turned so a shift of perception can be made, so that you can recognise that is your true opportunity to become from a victim of woe is me to actually wow is me, and allow other people to see your hero. Thank you.